Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depends on where you are. Thank, thank you for the opportunity this evening to come into your space, and looking forward to your many weeks, many months joining this movement. So what you welcome to tonight is not just an institute, actually is a movement. So greatly looking forward to for us doing this together. Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to can you see my screen? I think it's a little bit too many. Can you see my screen? I'm not quite sure what you see now.
Yes, I can see your screen. I can. Can anyone else see your screen?
Okay.
I can see your screen.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, so here we are, Song. So essentially, Song is looking at the challenge that is focused on many things, but essentially focused on how do we change and how do we change the narrative, for what's going on in Africa. And I know that everyone here tonight, either you're an African or you have interest in Africa. So that's obviously the reason why we are here tonight. But when we look at Africa is a paradox. Africa is a paradox in so many ways. Africa is a paradox in so many ways. Africa is a paradox in so many ways. I'm just trying to I keep on talking while I'm trying to get this thing working properly. Okay, so Africa is a paradox in so many ways. Africa is rich on paper, great resources, great wealth, but in reality, Africa is poor. In reality, Africa is poor across, and the story across the whole of Africa. So what we are doing is to say, what is the problem in Africa? Why is Africa not doing as well as it ought to do? And then next question is, how then do we change the narrative? How then do we change the narrative? How then do we work, to see that Africa's story is a different one? Now, typically when you look at the case of people talk about Africa, it usually you see Africans come together. There's a lot of, and rightly so, a lot of mourning, complaining, of where we, because of the situations, there is a lot of mourning and complaining regarding the situation in Africa and in various countries. And so Song, as the name describes, stands for Success of Nations and Governance in Africa. Success of Nations and Governance in Africa. The focus is simply, how can Africa's story be changed? How can Africa's story be changed? And that's what Song is pretty much all about. So what we are doing today is the first of many modules and discussions on Africa and how that whole storyline, the African story can change. So that's really our focus in this segment tonight. So we want to start off first by looking at Song, what our Song is about, and then thereafter we go into the rest of what is module 1 today. So that's essentially where we are. Okay, so let's start off first. Just going to start off first by looking at what is the situation, or what's the African situation? What is the African situation? And then what difference can everyone that is in this group tonight, what difference can you make for Africa? Now, let me ask a question as we carry on. The first question I want to ask tonight is interactive. Is is there anyone that agrees with me that African situation Africa is not a very good place? Is everyone agreed? I think everybody agrees with me. If you don't agree, please let me know. Now, I don't want to ask you a question. We're going to discuss this together very briefly. If you were to list let's list together five reasons for Africa's poor condition. What are the five reasons? What are the 5 reasons, the root cause analysis for Africa's situation? What do you think are the 5 reasons why Africa is in a bad state? Generally, I know there are some countries that are doing better than others, but the summary of Africa's situation is not very good. So what 5 reasons? Everyone, please, if you want to open up your mic, you can just put up your hand and I'll call you in. Alternatively, you can type it into the chat room. Give 5 reasons why you think African situation is not as good as it ought to be. 5 reasons, please. 5 reasons. Let's look at that together. Yes, 5 reasons. So I can see. Okay. So Nasu, can you help me to read out these reasons, and then the next thing I will then do is when we now look at all of these reasons, then we want to then rank them and to say which one represents the highest, the most proximate reasons. Yes. So which represents the most proximate reason? Which represents the most proximate reason? Okay, so I know you're bringing all your points in. Okay. No, so can you read them for us, please? Ozidare. Okay.
Okay, her network is quite bad, so I'll
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
For her. So Ruth says corruption. Elizabeth says the same, corruption. I said greed. Manuela said bad governance. Ruth again said poverty. Constance said corruption, transparency. Ruth said political instability. Constance, poor accountability. Elizabeth, colonialism.
Good. So Darius, if you were to summarize, which are the which points are the most repeated? Which are the top 3 points based on the top 3 reasons based on the analysis?
So we have corruption coming like 3 times, and then bad governance and political instability.
Okay, so corruption, bad governance, political instability. Now, if I were to ask everyone, this time everyone to vote, which one would you summarize as the summary reason for the bad state of Africa? I want to just choose one now. Now you've heard all of these ones. Which one do you think is the most proximate, the one that is the mother of all causes? Is it, which one? Just choose one now. Choose one. Which is the mother of all? Which is the mother? Yes, and Dari, please, again, please read them for us. Okay. Which is the one that everyone now, what was the summary? What was the root cause analysis?
We have Constance says inability to enact laws. Then Manuela saying corruption, and Ruth saying bad governance.
Okay. All right. So thank you all so much. You're very right. But I would say, you know, as we see now, that's what we're going to go into. You know, what's responsible for Africa's. And I thank God that one of the people here is a study medicine. You know, for you to have a good diagnosis and then a good treatment, you need to understand what the root cause is. And so everyone, and each of these answers are all correct. There's no right or wrong answer. But if I were to choose my own number one is, I would say, is poor governance or bad governance. Poor governance or bad governance, because poor governance and bad governance then creates the atmosphere for everything else. If you have a good leader who know what to do and they have good leadership, then they will deal with corruption, they will deal with they will bring good laws in and everything else. Yeah, so that for me is it. So that's why the vision we have is, you know, concerning to see successful nations and governance in Africa. That's our focus. Yeah, so I ask you just again another question, because in this school it's very interactive. It's not, we're not here to just give information, but rather it's a movement. So the idea is to get you excited and equipped, and but also motivated and excited, and then you are able to get away and do things. You know, so that's why we do this interactively. So next question I'm going to ask you, because that's fundamental to why you're in this school, in this institute. What is your dream for Africa? Again, just one sentence, you know, what is your dream for Africa? What's your dream for Africa? Just two or three, 4 lines, not more than that. What is your dream for Africa? Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, and he was talking about America. And about 40 years later, that dream is still evolving. But I mean, one of the highest point of that dream being fulfilled was when Obama became president. I'm not political. I'm just saying that was a dream. You know, he declared, and a part of it came to pass. You know, already. So, what's your dream for Africa? Again, Dari, as people are typing it, please go ahead and read for us. What dreams do you have for Africa? 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what do you dream of Africa to become? Yes, Ruth, you have a hand up. Please open up your mic and go ahead.
Thank you, sir. My dream is that Africa begins to produce nations that are able to govern themselves and produce nations that are able to alternate power, where governments come and go. Thank you.
Good. So if I may summarize it, it's in Africa where, you know, great governments, because we need just not good governments anymore. We need great ones, so they're able to address the big gap, and then which is continuing. So one good government, so whatever is succeeded by another great government, and on and on. Very true, because in some few cases in Africa, we've had some good government, you know, but then they get succeeded by a bad one or a poor one. And so the country takes 5 steps, and then the next one takes, you know, so bad that they go back 20 steps, or even 100 steps. So yes, a continuance of good government, and that's one of the reasons why this school is focused this way. We want everyone, you know, to be able to know how government works, you know, so that, you know, there's the whole population, or largely the population, is engaged to know how government works, not just a few people. We want everyone to start thinking about how to do government, you know, so you're the youths, those in government already, you know, everyone. So that then tells us that everyone here, you know, you can help to shape the future, the shape of Africa, you know, and whether they're in Africa or not. You know, today I'm sitting physically in Scotland here. That's where I am today. But this movement is for everyone, regardless of where you come from. It's even those who are not Africans, but they love Africa. They want to support Africa. So that's what that movement is. So you can be a solution provider, and you can help transform your nation, your community, your city, your village, your state or region. You can. You know, there's this sometimes conception that, oh no, it's only for those who are in government. No. You know, you can. But by taking these little steps now, you just never know how far. You know, God will give an opportunity. You find opportunity to contribute to the success of it. So, as Nonsoa said, so that's what we do in Circles of Nations and Governments. You know, and then we're here to train, equip, monitor, and mobilize people to govern and to contribute to governance of the nations. So that's and we're talking about everyone, even those in government, those who are the ministers, governor, president, and all that. We work with them as well too. We also focus on youth as well, because as they say, the youth are the future of tomorrow. But unless somebody prepares them, the tomorrow will be even worse than today. So that's why it was not our focus, not only on youth, but we do spend a lot of time on the youth as well. So we are creating a community and a movement. And so out of you joining Song now, you become part of a Song community, even when you finish this course, because there are many other courses anyway, it's a continuous learning, so we're a politically oriented movement, but we're not partisan. In other words, we're talking about politics, but we're not talking about joining one party or the other in any of the nations. That's not the focus. We are focused on development. How can Africa be developed? We also focus on action as well. That's part of the reason why we're having the conversation and discussions, so that how to take action. Chinonso already mentioned to you directly about what's going to happen after this. It's all about action at the end. Africans talk a lot, as you know that, about the situation, but no matter how much you talk about it, how you debate about it, it's not going to change until somebody goes in and take action. And so that's what we call a movement. We've got to move. We've got to move, try and make everybody move, and then Africa will move. We also take responsibility as well. It's not longer just as in government, all those areas, but we begin to take responsibility for small areas, and you just never know how far that small area you take responsibility for can then make greater impact in the future. So we're also learning, we're working, and I know Africans love to pray. So also praying together, as well, and then changing things together. That is the whole focus. And that way we're able to then improve and transform communities, locations, and the like. So that's our focus. So like we said, you're working together, and over time you also will meet other people as well, not just in this class, and then begin to work based on groups, based on the geographical areas you want to focus on, and also your subject areas that will take place as well. And then this program you have started, if you want to carry on, it actually is a 3-year program. So you're doing this first course, but if you do other things, and then another course, and all the time, taking responsibility, delivering some improvement right there on the ground. So that's it. What do you get at the end? You have the benefit of becoming part of a community and a movement that's going to create things. It's a platform. The Song is a platform for your expression, and in the sense that your expressions begin to count. You can debate, all the time. The government's not doing right, but it doesn't make any difference because all you are doing is all we are doing is venting, but we're not really doing anymore. But when you come to a place like this, then the expressions that you give, it is a platform for it, and that expression can then become a platform for action. So that's where we come from. You're getting trained, you're getting education, and the training you're going to get here is for life. So it's going to develop you in your career, in your personal life, and everything else, and also to help you function in your profession, in your studentship, whatever stage you are. You're getting incredible training, and then you're also going to get mentoring as well too. If you go the long leg of the program, you're going to get mentoring from current leaders and ex-leaders, as well too. So that will be part of the long-term program. And then there's also a good preparation for high office or business or career, whatever. This prepares you for life. And then it also gives you access. That's what you get through Song. You get access to tools and systems. We'll be giving you some things that they're going to start from today, some tools, systems, some concepts that will help you change. And of course, we have publications, we have conferences. So welcome to the Song movement. Welcome to the Song movement. So let's now go to the next level. Again, South Africa. One of the Kennedys said something very profound. Said, "Don't agonize, organize." The current situation right now, because of the bad situation or the poor situation of Africa, lots of Africans all end up, agonizing a lot, and it's so painful and all of that. But that doesn't change anything. So it's organization is what changes. So one of the directions or themes or values of Song is don't agonize, but organize. Don't complain, but execute. So that's one of our core focus and also values. So it's organization, not agonizing. Second value is, as we said, right, we are focused on Africa, and we are focused on even Africans, those of African regions elsewhere. So even our the Black Americans, the South American, Caribbeans, anywhere there are Black people, anywhere there are Black people, so those, let me call them people of African descent, then we also use the same tool and platform to help them. So those in America, for example, the Black community, they're struggling a lot with discrimination, racism, and all of those things. This same movement will help to correct that situation as well. And even those in UK, for example, those of African descent in UK, the Africans, the Caribbeans, with this same platform, they can also utilize the same principles, to also have a better situation in their own place as well too. So that's part of our values. What else? When we look at the African situation in summary, Africa has come out of colonialism, and there was a great hope and promise that Africa would then become a promised land. But right now we know, and that's the reality, that Africa is no longer under colonialism, but in reality, Africa is sort of stuck in the wilderness in the middle. It hasn't reached that promised land. That's promised land. For those who are biblical, not everyone here is biblical, and because in this platform you could be Muslim, you could not have no religion, so it's not specific. But most of us know about the biblical concept of the Israelites leaving Egypt, Pharaoh, and then they spent 40 years going around in circles until they could enter the promised land after 40 years. But African situation, Africa has been largely free now since the 60s. Most countries in Africa got independence in the 60s. First independence in Africa was Ghana in 1957, and then most of the others 60, 61, 62, that was the bulk of the independence. So roughly speaking, Africa is 50, 60 years old now, in terms of free Africa. So that means Africa is end up spending 20 years more in the wilderness than the Israelites spent. So that's it's not a very good situation. What's the evidence for all of this? You can see the situation, it's all there. The indices are there. The reality of poverty is there. Most of the countries in Africa are underperforming. When we say they are poor, they're underperforming, poor performance. And then at the same time, we also see the data is there as well. The human HDI is one of the data, for example. HDI stands for Human Development Index. When you look at a lot of the indices, African countries are always very, very low on the indexes. And then of course, government effectiveness. When you look at the government effectiveness, terrible. Lots of governments are ineffective. So the data is there. So because here in this is an institute, is a school, so we're not here like it's not journalism, it's not newspaper writing, but we're actually having to have data for anything we say. So if we say Africa is not doing well, what's the data for that? Well, the data you can find in the fact that we are mineral rich. Africa is rich in so much minerals and wealth. Nigeria, Angola, Mozambique, Ghana, gold, silver, or petroleum, all that. South Africa is rich in resources, but in reality, poverty is on the ground. That is data. HDI, Human Development Index. A lot of the African countries are at the bottom of Human Development Index. So things like access to education, access to basic health and basic factors of life, life expectancy. All of those things, African countries are at the bottom. Government effectiveness, there's also an index for government effectiveness. You also see, we will not get there today, but I think on Saturday we'll get to that. We'll get to looking at that. You see again, African countries are at the bottom of that power. So clearly, we have the data is there for what we're saying. Africa is stuck in the wilderness, but it needs to get into the promised. And so there needs to be a movement that will take Africa to the promised land. So we have already answered this question. We said we said already, we already answered this question. We had this group session already to say what are the words that summarize Africa's situation. And then we said, out of that, what we did was out of that, we then chose which are the most, the ones that are most proximate for African situation. So that's we've answered that already. So, but we need to have we have to have a dream for the future, and that is the future is yours and ours to shape. And the shaping is that we want Africa to come out of wilderness and get into the promise and become the promised land. The promise was that after independence, everything will make honey and sugar, and that hasn't been the situation. But somebody has to work for it. And thank you for bringing yourself forward to work for that. Okay, so that's essentially the summary behind Song and movement, and that's what we're going to go. Now I want to go into module 1. All you've been having is introduction to the Song movement. Now we're going into module 1, the course for today. Now, if I would give you 2 or 3 minutes if you want to stand up, and want to stretch, you want to get yourself a cup of water or a cup of tea, depends on where you are. Because we've done this is about nearly 38 minutes now. So if you want to take a stretch and do that as we go into the module 1, as we go to module 1. So take a stretch. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes stretch. You want to use the restroom, you want to stand up, you want to take a cup of water, take a coffee, please go ahead. Please go ahead and do that. And while we're doing that, does anyone that I need to say that this is an interactive class, so please feel free to put up your hand at any point in time to ask a question, to make a contribution, or to give a perspective on any of the subjects as we discuss. So it's an interactive class. It's not a lecture, but it's a workshop. We are working things together, or a seminar. So we're actually doing this together. So please feel free to put up your hand at any point in time, and then I would invite you to make a statement, and I'll be asking questions regularly. Okay, right. So 2-3 minutes, and then just 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Take a stretch, take a natural break, and then we carry on. Okay, we're back on. Welcome back. So we start this first module, which is focused on leadership and governance. And the idea here is to introduce you to the concept of good leadership, adaptive leadership, and governance. It will enable you, this knowledge you gain here, and it will enable you to practice, understand what is governance and what is good governance. And part of it would involve a lot of history. A lot will also involve development as well. And I need to hasten to say that this is level 1 of leadership and governance. In this course, we're doing this level 1, but there are other higher levels of leadership and governance, obviously. So what you're learning is I mean, you know stuff already instinctively, but you're not getting some, in a structured way, and you get that more. So it enables you to be to learn practical and ways of governance. So you can therefore engage, with this level of governance going forward. Then you can practice what you also have learned, and you can put it into part. So let's now go ahead and so in this first part, we're going to be saying, how do you assess, measure whether a government is doing well or not, and then how do you replicate? How do you then replicate what essentially is successful rulers and governance? So look at it. Let's interrogate this. What we're trying to achieve here. The first thing is, you want to assess how governments do. Now, why is this important? Particularly in politics and in governance, you would say, oh, this government is not doing well, but you'd be surprised that somebody will say, wow, this government is best since sliced bread. That is the best government ever in history. Isn't that what you find in Africa? A lot of the people in government will tell you government is the best government ever. So you'll be surprised, and you thinking you are saying and thinking this government is well, but at the end of the day, that can just be your opinion. I hope you agree with me. It can just be your. In fact, those government will say those. The communications folks will say, no, it's just your opinion. We are the best government, and they come back again and do elections and they win, or they force their way through, or whatever else they do. So there's a big gap between when people say, oh, that's a bad government. And so, but because we are training to be systematic, we then have to say, how can you actually assess and say this is bad government or good government? Now, if we then know how to assess whether a government is good or bad, the next thing is then to say, okay, then we can then know what makes good government, and then begin to replicate that, practice that. So assessing, measuring what is good or bad, and then what is good, we can begin to replicate it, and what is bad, we can have a focused way of avoiding it. So that is why that is why we are studying this module, because if you don't understand that, then everything else we say will just be, you have to have the foundation. This is foundational to be able to contribute to good governance. So I would then go on to say, so here we want to look at the effectiveness of leaders. How effectiveness of leaders? What makes effective leaders? What are the attributes of successful leaders? What are the attributes of successful leaders? How do you define and measure the success or failure of rulers and leaders and governments? And then also we want to look at some transformational leaders, and then we also want to begin to look at successful nations. Why are they successful? What makes them successful? And then how do we replicate successful leaders? And then we want you individually and collectively to also create your own paradigm or your own framework for so that after this module, you can sit down and analyze for anyone. This government is bad. This is all good because of all this, or they're doing some well. So do not be emotional. Oh yeah, and I shouting match, but to be structured and physical. So that's essentially the what we're going to be doing. So let me then ask a question. We're going into another interactive session. What are the indicators and predictors? How can you tell a good government from a bad government? How can you tell a good government from a bad government? I ask that question. So I give you 2 minutes again to go to the chat room. Or if you want to put up your hand, that's also fine as well. How do you judge whether a government is good or bad? A government is good or bad, or a ruler is good or bad? Again, please go to the chat room and type in there. If you want to speak, please put up your hand and I'll invite 1 or 2 people to speak. But please, when you speak, straight to the point, you are very precise. Yes, go to the chat room. How do you know how do we know good or bad governments? Yes, please. Yes, please. Chat room, or type something in the chat room, or give me put up your hand and I'll invite you to speak. Yes. How do you know good or bad government? Yes. Just 1 or 2 lines. What's your test? Or if now that I'm asking for the first time, if you wanted to test, what would you say? Why would you say one government is good? Or what would be your basis? Yes, I haven't seen anyone drop anything in chat room yet. Like you said, we're working this together. It's not a lecture, but we are exploring this subject together. So I didn't need to do that. Yes, let me call some names then. Okay, so I've seen some. So Emanuela says you can tell if a government is good or bad depending on how much of their goals they have achieved. That's a very good one. That's a very good one. Emanuela, so you very good points. How much of their goals that they have achieved? But then let's interrogate that comment well. You say how much of the goals they have achieved. So that means you presume that they have goals. You presume that they have goals. How many governments actually have goals? That's number one. You presume that they have goals. And then even if they have goals, are they the right goals that would you agree with those goals? Would those agree with those goals, and that those goals would do very well? And many years ago, I do a lot of work on petroleum and natural resources. When Chad was doing his development petroleum oil, they had a project, and then they agreed with World Bank what they're trying to go to use the money to do, or the money that will come in. But guess what happened after the money started coming in? The president of the then government in charge, the president, diverted the funds that were meant for development and other things into buying arms, and then he was saying, well, because I have a civil war, I've got to fight my civil war. So he diverted all the money that was meant for development into arms. So his view was that, hey, our government's been threatened. So our priority right now, our goal right now is to keep the government. So we're going to breach the agreement and move the money. So the question of the goals. Do they have goals? But even if they have goals, are they the goals that you will agree with? Not necessarily that you have to agree with their goals. That's their prerogative. But are those goals I will agree with? And thirdly, are those goals actually what to produce the results that you want? So very good comment, Manuela. Elizabeth says if there is mass poverty, if a government produces mass poverty, suffering, and I was like, yeah, I think that again is a very good comment. Yes, that would be one sure way. So we have a number of comments there. First of all, goals. Do they have goals? Does the government have goals? If they have goals, are they the right goals? And if they're the right goals, how are they actually met those goals? Their poverty. So 4 ways. Let's take this thing further. So the puzzle is a puzzle of life. Is that you see poor leadership across not just Africa, but many parts of the world. But of course, Africa is our immediate focus. Poor governance. So it's a puzzle. Why do we have so much, such a pattern of poor leaders? Look at Africa's situation, 50, 60 years. Why is that picture generally the case? Is a puzzle. So there is a man. You can see this, isn't it? This was concerning Peru, and this was some years back, not so And this man who is 63 years old, he was saying about Peru was just changing government again, and when he was standing outside, to change his currency. The currency has completely devalued. Excuse me. He was trying to change, and somebody asked him a question, the journalist, and this is what he said. He said, in my 63 years, I've never seen a good president. Now about to vote again, he's thinking, I hope it's not really different. And that's Peru. And this man's verdict, in his 63 years, he has never seen one good president or one good government in Peru. That is very damning, very damning, and very damning. But that tells you that world governance seems to be predominate rather than good governance in large parts of the world, including our media focus, Africa. So let's take this further. What is good governance? How do we assess governments? How do we identify good governments? How do we predict outcomes? And then how to instigate? That's our focus. Remind ourselves today. So look at, there's a book, if you want, I encourage you. That book is called Leaders Who Change History. I have that book, actually, I have it somewhere. It's a very good book, and it examines leaders. It takes one leader one by one, across the whole world. It takes one by one, and then they change history. And some of them even include some ones that change histories in a terrible way, like Hitler. Some of them are there, some bad, terrible leaders, but they did change history, though in a negative way. But predominantly, most of them are leaders that changed history in a positive way, like Mandela. And then the book looks at them individually, and then summarizes, from their life, a few points of what a few lessons we can gain from those books. So here I'm just giving you some of the points, some of the attributes of leaders who change history. I'm just giving some of those points. I do encourage you. Leaders are readers. Those who lead well are also those who read. So do want to instigate you to read. So please go and you may buy this book or get it online, but if you can, but definitely start buying books from today on leadership. So from this book, Mandela is one of those who is put in there. And then there's a very good summary there, which I've just extracted. It says, throughout history, human societies have been shaped and determined by their leaders. So it is leaders that determine, that's why I was saying, we're saying earlier on, that we rank all of those causes for Africa's current poor state. The bottom line, or the highest causation factor is rulership. Who the governance, that produces everything else. The corruption, the wars, the terrorism is all permeated or allowed by poor governance. So here is we come to get a conclusion that human society have always been shaped by their leaders, whether triumphing by conquest or political movement or succeeding by self-belief. These figures are the powerful elites that others have sort of compared to follow. So here, I've extracted some of the about 6 or 7 points, attributes. Is the leaders. These are leaders who are able to influence other people. From here, you can just get a few points. Number one, that good leaders are those that are able to influence people, obviously, to influence people in the right way. So a leader cannot just say, "Oh, my people are bad." That's stupid. That's stupid, because the leader's role is to influence people, to do well, to do good. And some also do it in the negative. They influence people to do evil things, just like Hitler, was able to mobilize the whole German nation, German people, to do those horrible things they did, including killing 6 million Jews in the ovens, in those ovens of, just too terrible to contemplate, So the second factor here, we here talk about legacies, how much of legacies and good legacies, do actually outlive and continue a leader. what they leave behind, the next one. Next one is, what do they leave behind? We just talked about that, what they leave behind. They also talk about, what they use their position to do. When you give a good leader, a platform, an opportunity, give him an office, he uses that office to produce incredible things, to build things, to achieve good achievements, to bring development. Now, when you give the same position to those who are bad leaders, what do? They become grandiose, they have big titles, they have big ceremonies, they have entourage, they have everything else. They become full of themselves, and then of course they have sacrifices go around them. But largely speaking, they don't use the position or the resources to produce much achievements. But if a good leader, if you give him even a tiny position, he uses to produce solid achievement, to build up, things that can do. So that is one attribute of leaders who change history. They use every position, every opportunity they have to build something, to produce great effect. What else? Good leaders, good attributes, they advance their people and their nations. They advance. Mandela did that. Martin Luther King Jr. in America, he did that. He was able to lead, to create, to end, he had to structure the racism and it brought that an end. So you see that, use their position. And Martin Luther King wasn't in government. He wasn't in government. He wasn't in government, but he was able to cause the government to do so much else, so that today America has a national holiday devoted to him. Mandela was for many years, nearly 30 years, he was in prison, he was in jail. Before then, he was just a freedom fighter, he was just a freedom advocacy, that apartheid should end. Africans in South Africa should take the rightful place, but over 20-something years, over more than 30 years of campaigning, and over 27 years in jail, he was able to come out and he led his people, in their own level, at least the first level, out of captivity. He led them out of apartheid. So good leaders, courageous leaders, lead their people to a brighter future, and they do that by challenging and changing the status quo and what has been there before. They said, no, this is not good enough. We're going to change it. They say it. They said as a goal. Thanks to Manuela's word. They said as a goal, and they go ahead and do it. So think about all of this now, not just theoretical, but that's how you can observe people, and that's what you should begin to do now. In whatever situation you are right now, if you're in school, you can begin to let these attributes become your lifestyle. If you are at work, if you are a professional, you are married, or whatever you are doing, let these attributes become part of what you also do as well. Use positions, opportunities to build things and to produce good effect. So advance people around you, advance nations, your community, your group, your friendship, advance them. What else? Another attribute of good leaders is evolution. For you to be a good leader, you need to keep on evolving. That doesn't mean you change your ways or you become bad. No, it means that you are constantly updating yourself, upgrading yourself, and so you are evolving. You get into a position or an office, you need to evolve so much so that you master that office, that position, you do produce a good effect, and then you can move on to something else, and so evolution. Mandela's evolution was incredible. Let me ask a question, because I love this to be interactive. Tell me one way in which Mandela evolved. One way in which Mandela evolved. Think about it. For those who have studied Mandela or read about him, what is one way in which Mandela evolved that produced a great effect? What one way did Mandela evolve that produced a great effect? One way did Mandela evolve that produced a great effect? I'll just ask Dari, if anybody puts their point in, just step in and go ahead and read it. Just go ahead and read it, please. go ahead and read it. And one says, what one way did Mandela evolve? Because there's great leaders, good attributes that are leaders, they are always evolving, always evolving. Not that they're just changing for changing sake, but they are evolving. Yes, if anyone has a comment, please read it for me. Larry, yes. Any comments? If none, then I can go ahead. Yes. So I'll tell you one way. Now, when Mandela went into prison, when he was fighting for an end to injustice, and for the appetite to end. That was he was a freedom fighter. He wasn't a leader. He was a leader, but not officially. He wasn't president, but he came out of prison. He came out. He evolved from being a prisoner to become a leader. That's one way he evolved. The second thing is that although he was championing the cause of Africans, these Black Africans who were oppressed and depressed, but when he became president, he became the president for all of the whole of South Africans. Many white South Africans, they left South Africa before independence, thinking that once Africans get independence and Mandela becomes president, that the whites will be killed, the whites will be wiped out. But when Mandela became president, actually he became president for everyone. He became president for everyone. They changed the national anthem to have part of everyone else. They changed their flag to be multicolored. In fact, they called themselves Rainbow Nation. And the main rainbow, the old manner of rainbow, not the way it's hijacked today by something else, and the main Rainbow Nation, that is a nation of all colors, so he was able to, so eventually many of the South Africans that left abandoned Africa because they were the white ones. They thought South Africa was going to be destroyed, they're going to kill all the whites. They started moving back because he evolved from being, from championing the cause of the Blacks. He had achieved that anyways, and so why keep on? He now became the president for everyone. What higher did they achieve? He was coming out of, he wrote in his book that when he was coming out of that prison, out of Robben Island, he realized that he had a choice. He said, I can hate, I can look for revenge, but if I did that, he was saying to himself, I will become a prisoner of hate and destruction. So what did he do? He dropped hate, seeking for revenge. He dropped it all in the prison. He didn't walk out of that. He came out of prison, with a heart for everyone. So that's the way he evolved from being a freedom fighter to becoming a leader, a president for all colors. That is amazing. Most leaders cannot evolve. The same way they came is how they continue, and then that's why most of them ending up crashing. Another point is ambition. A good leader, the leaders who have changed history are those that they had an ambition. Again, someone talked about goals. They had, in other words, before they got there, they already had goals. We're going to talk about goals and all that. I think maybe tomorrow or maybe on Saturday, that'll be the next one. They had all of those things, So they had goals. They had something they were looking forward to. Yeah. So you have to have ambition to do something. What else? The good leaders, or even leaders that change history, whether are those that are powerful in the sense that they use the power of their office, good ones, to do much good. And then some others who use it to produce, great, terrible outcomes, abuse and misuse and destruction, So they use the power, they terrorize the people, they hijack the people, they become tyrannical, they will become slaves to them, they can misuse their positions, use the great power of their positions to produce evil or to produce good, And then of course, like we said, the ones that the most remarkable ones, they leave a legacy behind them. So again, feel free to stop me at any point in time. Also call me. So I'll pause there for a minute. I'd like to hear your reflection on this. And then how does this now help you to begin to think of judging or judging and assessing and measuring the success of failures of leaders around you. So you can begin to see now you have a more empirical way, a more structured way of looking at leaders, and their impact. And then at the same time, it now gives you ahead for yourself, for your own life, a blueprint now of the things you can start focusing on building into you as a lifestyle. That wherever position you go to, you want to influence and inspire people to do great things. Wherever you want to go, you want to use your position to produce, to build something and live and produce good impact and effect. If you have a position of authority, you want to lead the people, to change the old ways that are no longer occurring. So these are the ways you see that. I pause for a minute. Any thoughts, any questions, any reflections on this? Please feel free to put up your hand and speak, or if you want to use the chat room. Again, if there is a chat room, I'll just ask Dari to please help me by monitoring the chat room and what's going on out there, because I'm not looking at it all the time. Yes, please. Yeah. Can everyone go into the chat room now, please, and type something? I'm not saying anything in the chat room. So please, can everyone go into the chat room and say something, please? Say something in the chat room on what we have just discussed. Something in the chat room. Yes, please. Something in the chat room. Yes. Okay. Something in the chat room. Yes. Emanuela, can you say something? Elizabeth, can you say something? Constance, can you say something as well? Yes, Ruth, can you say something? Oh, thank you. Yeah. Dari, can you read what was said?
Okay, so from Constance.
So Constance said,
sorry, I was having feedback because I'm connected on my both devices. So Constance said Nelson Mandela's leadership evolved. And Elizabeth said leaders have legacies. Emanuela says leaders have ambitions. And Elizabeth said leaders would have to sacrifice.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Ruth, you have a hand up. Please go ahead. Open your mic and go ahead and say something.
So I was just going to say that leaders define parameters. They use their position to build and to produce. So they define parameters, they produce and they build. Thank you.
So define parameters, that means they define, situations, they describe things, and they focus on things that parameters, metrics, they define things that, again, that's if I want to summarize what I hear you say, that leaders redefine things. Yeah, they redefine things. Oh yes, they leave a mark. Very true. That's from Ruth, leaders leave a mark. Elizabeth says leaders would have to sacrifice. Very, very true. They will have to sacrifice. That's one attribute of leaders. I mean, Mandela was in jail for 27 years. Now, he didn't even have any expectation that he might come out, because he was ready to die when he was being tried. He said that he's ready to die if necessary for his cause. So he had no great expectation that he will live. But thanks be to God, he did come on alive and led his nation. So yes. So leaders have to be courageous enough to do whatever it will take to achieve what they are trying to achieve. They will do that. Thank you so much for this reflection. Now let's go another way. So we'll see one way now of talking about leaders. Let's go another way. There is in America, they have this concept, where the top historians, structural historians and experts, after every president has left office, they rank all the presidents continuously. So they re-rank them again once a president leaves office. They re-rank them again, and then they rank them from 1 to one being the most impactful, the best one, and then of course the Bolo and so last year they ranked all the presidents again after Trump left, because once a president has left and a new one comes in, then they add the one that just left, and then look at all they rank it all again. It's a very structured way. The top historians do that. Now they use this 10 criteria. These are the 10 criteria they use to judge the success or not so successful of the presidents, to use these 10 parameters, these 10 criteria to judge them. So number one criteria is not any other ranking, but just number one is that they look at the public persuasion. How effective has the leader been to carry the people along, to persuade them, to put them, to make them create a movement and to change things. How much has the leader been able to achieve that? Because some leaders, they are there in office, but they can't move the people. They can't move the people to do great things. So that means by definition, a good leader is one that moves people to do great things. So let's look at how much has a leader been able to persuade the population, or a significant proportion of the population, to do great things. Now, if you think about that in a negative way, Hitler was able to persuade the whole of the German nations to see Jews as their enemies, and they, for example, but we're talking about good persuasion, obviously. That's one. Second criteria is when there's a crisis, and invariably every leader will have a crisis. Every leader will undergo a crisis. The crisis can be small, it can be big. Look at pandemic. For the last 2 years, going on 2 and plus years, the whole world has been dealing with a great crisis, a global crisis affecting everyone. Nobody's spared, and you have seen how leaders have done. Some leaders have done very well. In fact, they've shown their true colors, incredible leaders in crisis, and some have been average, and some have been downright ridiculous, downright poor. So one of the criteria by which they then assess the effectiveness, the success of a leader or not successful, is crisis management. How can they manage in a crisis? How can they manage in a crisis? So that is fundamental. The third criteria they use is economic management. How have they managed the economy? How they manage the economy? The economy done well under them, and it doesn't matter whether the economy, the global situation was bad or good. The question is, how does the president manage? Does he or she manage the economy in totality? That means good economic management is necessary. Number 4 criteria they use is moral authority. As I'm saying this, I'm laughing now because of many things that are going on around the world today. Moral authority, that means, do they provide the moral authority? They live by values that everybody can relate to and say, yes, that's a worthy. Or do they behave such a way that be like, no, I don't want this guy to be I'm ashamed to say this is my president. I'm ashamed to say this is my governor. I'm ashamed to say this is my prime minister, because his behavior is just downright bad, ridiculous. He has no values, or his values are really terrible. So that means the more you can set up a standard, the more you can lead people in a way that the people will be proud. Let's put that, people are proud to say, yeah, that's my president, that's my prime minister, that's my governor, that's my mayor, because he's such an upright person. He does things correctly. No cheating, no lying, no this, no that. Then no corruption. Moral authority. Another criteria, the 5th criteria, they use international relations. Invariably, you're talking about presidents, isn't it? So how has it related? Now you can also relate it to your own level, at whatever level you're at. Managing relations, communication relations with others. In their own case, in case of a president, with other nations, how do they manage that? Then number 6 is administrative skills, the ability to administer things. It can have administration is running very well, everything is running pretty well, things are not falling apart. That's administration. Then relationship with Congress. In their own case, Congress means Parliament or other makers. So you can say relationship with other arms of government, probably crucial ones. A good leader is able to bring all the arms of government, to work in sync, to work nicely, to collaborate together. Number 8 is talking about a leader that has vision and sets an agenda. Now, if I were ranking these, I would actually put there's no ranking, so it's not as if I didn't put them in any ranking. But if I was to rank them, I would probably say number 8 is actually number 1, the vision, set an agenda. That they had a vision, they set an agenda, and then they achieved it. I think what Manuela talked about goals, so good leaders, successful leaders, they have visions, they have agendas that they let everybody know, and then they go through it. That's why the next module you're going to be looking at is how to set a vision and agenda. That's module 2, how to set a vision and agenda. Then the next ninth point is pursuit of justice for all. Pursuit of justice for all, that is, be a good president, focused on justice for all. They're not racist, they're not of this side or the other side, but they pursue justice for everyone. And bad leaders don't do that. Bad leaders only support one group or the other. And then number 10 is almost like a summary. Performance within the context of that I give because everybody has a different landscape to deal with. For example, those who have been leaders on that COVID, there are different people. There are also some presidents have been presidents during war times, First World War, Second World War, or big wars. There's always a context to every season, every single life. So the question is, how are they able to perform within the context of the context of limitation of the war, of their situation as they are? So that essentially is the 10 ways that this top US historians and experts, they judge all presidents. When they've left office, they judge all of them, they rank all of them again. So I'll pause here again for a minute and ask you to reflect on this. Again, go to the chat room and say something. Now, when you see this, what does it make you feel empowered? That now you can have even a more structured conversations now with people. Say, yeah, this leader is doing well or not doing well. You can have structured conversations now. Not just, it's no longer emotional. Oh, that president is not doing well. The governor is not doing well. No. That's no. You begin to now be structured to say, it's going to not do well, or that person not do well because of some reasons. You can then assess them on a very structured basis, and then you can also use it as your own blueprints. For every phase of life. You can look at yourself. What am I trying to persuade here? Am I supposed to persuading them? Then in crisis, how am I going to solve that? Lead the people in this crisis? Economic management. How do I lead it? So on and on and on and on. Yeah. So I pause there again. If there's any comments in the comments or reflections or additions or clarifications or questions, please put them in the chat room, and then I will ask Dario to read them up. And again, if there's anyone that wants to actually put up his or her hand and talk directly to the mic, please let me know as well. So, yes. So, Dario, any comments from anyone before we carry on? Any comments? Okay, let's carry on. You can still put your comments while we keep on carrying on. So now I'm going to give you a blank sheet of paper. Blank sheet of paper. And I want you to give us your own 10 points. Your own 10 points. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes. So you can write it on your own notepad and you can type it in. Now that you know this, what would be your own in the African context? I've given you 2 examples of how people have looked at the example of those the authors of that book, looking at the leaders that have changed in history the most. I've also given you the criteria used by the presidents, those who assess the presidents of America. So we have 2 different ways. Now I want us to get a 3rd way, which is for this group to come up with, come up with best ways. So I would have wanted us to break up into 2 groups, 2 chat rooms, 2 breakout rooms to do this effectively. Is that possible, folks? Can we have two chat rooms just for 10 minutes for this conversation to take place, and the two chat rooms will come back and give us their comments. Okay, thank you for Elizabeth. You asked a question whether the priorities, the list the two lists I gave, whether they were ranked. No, they were not ranked. They were not ranked. So thanks for that question. They were not ranked. So is it possible, folks, to have two breakout rooms? Admin folks, can we have two breakout rooms? Is it possible? Felix, you've asked a question on moral authority. Yes. So I'll answer that question on moral authority, and then why. So Nonso, Dari, can somebody please tell me if we can have breakout rooms? They will break up the two groups into two groups.
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, so can you set that up while I'm just answering Felix's question? So we'll break everybody into two groups, and then so you have that conversation between your two groups. You spend 10 minutes each, and then when you come back, you give us your own 10. You give us your own 10 list of how you judge the success, the good success or bad success, or success of leaders in Africa. Your own 10 list. So you are discuss that among your chat room, and then you bring it back. So, answering your question, Felix, talk about what you want a clarification on moral authority. This is moral authority is talking about whether the leader sets a good standard on in terms of morality, in terms of good behavior. Or they say that leader is very, very honest. Oh, that leader is somebody say, oh, that leader is, oh, he's so honest, he's very transparent, he's not corrupt, him and his family, they behave so well. He's very honorable in everything he does. And then somebody say, oh, that leader, oh, don't mind him. No matter what he does, he's just a liar. Oh, another one say, oh, that leader is so corrupt. He's stealing everything. He appears that he's doing well, but actually he's very corrupt. So they can be very, very. So moral authority is talking about the fact that they have a moral, their lifestyle, gives them the ability to be admired, Who's representing the groups? Each of the two breakout rooms. So please go up, give us your point and talk about it. And then somebody in your group can also type them into the chat room while somebody as one representative speak for each of the groups. Yes, please. Are we ready to go? Okay. Elizabeth. Okay, Elizabeth, you are speaking for group one. As somebody said that. So can you open your mic and please go ahead? And group two, please, can you also appoint somebody? Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Adeba Elizabeth Alajesu. So I will be speaking on our blank sheet of 10 ways we can rank our presidents in Africa. So for number one, our group decided that vision should be number one, that it depends on the vision and goals, how they achieved them, if they did or if they did not. So the second one is economic management. We feel that the rank should also be based on how they manage the economics, both macro and micro, whatever way. Then the third part, we said poverty level. That if the poverty level is higher when they came in or if it's reduced when they left. So another way we said, international relations. We feel that most African countries, they do not even have foreign policies that they pursue after. And then when they do not have foreign policies, it therefore means that they do not have domestic policies, or they have domestic policies, but they are not really working on it. So we feel that that's a way that we can rank presidents in Africa. Also, we said public persuasion, that if the citizens love their president, or like the way you carry your citizens, that's for public persuasion. Then also we said performance within the context of times. Then we also said rates of human rights violations. We feel that this should be a way to rate our leaders in Africa. Probably they did, like, probably the rate of human rights increased or it decreased. We feel that that should be a way it should be ranked. Also, we talked about level of corruption. We feel that the level of corruption should be a way that these leaders should be ranked, as well as level of crime rate. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let me just type it in. Number one, it says vision. Number two,
yes. Economic management.
Economic management. Okay. Economic management. Okay. Third one,
Poverty level.
Poverty
Level.
I mean, lifting lifting people out of poverty.
Yes.
Lifting the population. Lifting the population out of poverty. Okay, out of poverty. Okay.
Then
What else?
international relations / foreign policy.
Okay. How do you mean?
We mean that these African leaders should have a foreign policy that they want to achieve, or that they should have foreign policies that they want to achieve. Then the amount
Objectives.
of how they achieve them should be a way to rank the African leaders.
Of achievements. Okay. So I would say so let's qualify it. So say strong and ambitious, which is very true, because a lot of the early leaders in Africa, people like Nkrumah and Co, they had visions of one African continent. They set up African Union. They had great ambition, strong and ambitious foreign policy objectives, and the extent of achieving them. Okay, extent of success, and okay. All right. Number 6, number 5. Is that the last one you have? Hello, group 1. Anyone else want to add to that? Hello, group 1. Somebody else can speak, please. Hello.
Sorry for that break. Yeah, sorry for that.
But hold on, Elizabeth, hold on a second. Do you have other group members there?
Yes, I do.
Your group members. So when you were away, why didn't they speak? Come on. We are talking about leaders. Group 1. Who are the rest of your group 1?
Okay, we have Emanuela. Then
So,
last person.
No, hold on a second. Okay, let's do the teachable moment. Group 1 people, why didn't you speak when her phone, her connection went off? Yes, please. I want to ask on group 1. Why didn't you speak? And I kept asking somebody else in your group, speak. If you're a leader, you step in.
Aside Elizabeth, and she's just having Emanuela on her group, which is active. Mrs. Nonso is on her group too, but the other person is not online right now.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, all right, yeah.
Okay, so after foreign policy, we talked about public persuasion. That's how you can carry your citizens along, how you are able to influence them in buying into your visions, and also that's
Okay, momentum. Okay, carry them along, carry people along. Momentum, motivation, motivating people to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, motivation. Okay, thank you. Any other one?
so and the other we said performance within the context of times. That should be general performance, economic, political, social, your performance during the period you were in office.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Let's go to group 2. Group 2. Who's going to speak for group 2? Group 2.
Yes, sir. I'll go for group 2.
Okay, Precious, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Also, we didn't really rank. We just spoke about the different attributes and what we thought of each one. But I'll do the honor of ranking it for my group. So for me, or for us, I would say vision comes first because then we believe that having like foresight into what you actually want to achieve would help you go a long way in actually materializing those goals. So we'll say vision comes first.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead. Vision.
Yeah. Then we'll say administrative skills next.
Administration. So can you explain about what in administration?
Okay, yeah, so when you spoke of administration, you said being able to make sure that everything works as it's supposed to work. You can't have the other stuff when you don't have people in place or you don't have the tools or policies in place to make these things work. So we believe that with a structured body of administrators, we can achieve the rest of the items on the list.
Okay. Good and effective administration. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one.
The next one is economic management.
Okay. All right.
So for every nation, aside the political, the social, and
Okay, I think the network is good. Okay, I think network seems to be well. Seems to be doing well. Okay, so we are going to. So thank you so much for that. Very effective. So we're going to be going on to the last thing we're going to do today, as we draw this to a close now, is we're going to ask everyone to reflect on what we have received today. So what are you going away with today? We'll also talk to somebody tomorrow. So look for people to talk to tomorrow, your forum or somewhere else. Talk about what you have received today, what you have gained from today. You know, has this been exciting? Has this been helpful? You know, so what words would you use to describe what has happened today, what I received today? You know, and then that's reflecting on the experience itself, and then think of one or two things that have really changed in your thinking from today. So you're saying, wow, this has changed in my thinking today. And then number three, how would you apply this? How will I apply this? So I'm going to ask you now to just reflect for a minute and type your response in. And then when you come in on Saturday, please come ready to share. If possible, send in, yeah, not if possible, send in something in the chat room or send something. So number one, you know, reflect on the experience of today's session. Number two, what has really changed for you? What has been your wow? What is the wow you're going away with after today? Then thirdly, how are you going to communicate that wow to other people and apply it? So three things. So three things. Yeah. So three things. So Ruth, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So today has been, I would describe as enlightening. I have received enlightenment in regards to the positioning mindset of who a leader really is and how to rank them in terms of looking at what they're producing in the nation and try to define things from a perspective of understanding of the scope of, you know, what we know, from what we know. So enlightenment was my take. And what I'll do with this is I will keep digging by starting with the book that I heard that Dr. Mark mentioned. Keep digging, seeking understanding, and until I come back on Saturday, kind of work on what I have received. So I keep being enlightened by what I have received. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Who goes next? Yeah, just go on. Emanuela, please go ahead.
Okay, so to me, today's experience was really educative. It changed my perspective on how I judge the success of leadership. And then what I'll do after now is that with my new perspective of judging the success of leadership, I'll try to judge the leadership that I've witnessed to judge how successful they are based on the new concepts I've learned about. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank